Hello, everybody. This is Sam here. I am the director and overall, just general maker of this Thomas fan film, Three Railway Engines. Um, this is just a director's commentary. The film's almost a year old, so I thought I'd just go through it, rewatch it, have some fun, talk about it, and let's get started. I think this may have been the last film I made to use the production logo. I might have used it at some point in, yeah, I was in Rails of Ice. I think Rails of Ice was the last movie to use it, instead of just having it in the credits. But yeah. Now, for this first shot, I took a screenshot of it, of the time and everything, to show that this was the exact time I started filming and everything, because I thought this was gonna be like a huge 2-hour movie. I thought this was gonna be a huge thing, like in terms of the runtime. You could see Gordon looking at you there. I wanted to use Upside Now's piece, I think that's his name, for a Gordon montage at some point, and I thought this movie was the best possible way to use it. Now, how this movie actually started was since, like, I'd say summer 2021, I had wanted to make a big film. I mean, I'd had that goal for quite a while, even before I started YouTube in 2020, but I knew more of what to do, just a little bit, not that much. I was still using the YouTube trimming page, but yeah, and I was just getting started in Resolve at that time. And throughout the latter half of 2021, I was kind of debating on, yeah, that was a clean transition there. I'm still pretty proud of how that turned out. But yeah, in the latter half of 2021, I was debating on like what movie I should do, and especially in like November and December, because like I had done Scaredy Engines, and around by that time Gordon Takes a Tumble, and I knew how to make these things to an extent to where they were not bad, but of course at the time they weren't the best either. So yeah, I had a few ideas bouncing around my head. A lot of these were influenced by the works of, or the work, whatever you want to refer to it as. Oh yeah, I really like these how I did these B splines. I think that's what it's called. I really like how I did the trim outs in Resolve here.
Passing trees and buildings with the wind blowing through. Nothing can get better
Efficient
than that,
top
I tell
link
you.
express engines.
Indeed, we are the most efficient top link express engines.
Oh,
Most
the
capable,
Riz sound.
most up-to-date. The
Oh
future.
man. But yeah.
I recall when
Now,
I was the
I
fastest
should
engine
finish this.
around,
This might happen a lot in the
rolling down the line
commentary.
at
I'll be
75
sidetracked, no
miles
pun
an hour,
intended,
the
by
express
other
rattling
stuff.
behind me.
75
That while trying to
miles
talk about
per
the
hour
history of
with
this
the express.
movie.
Ha,
This thing I
that
call a
would
movie.
never do.
Even I can go
But-
faster than that with my trains.
Edward, when are
Wait,
you
Donald's
going
or
to
Douglas's
realize
eyes
you're
there,
out
or
of date?
Will's eyes
75
there
miles
look
an hour
so,
might have been somewhat
just look like
suitable for a
pinpoints
slow
there. I'm just now
goods train,
realizing
but
that.
for a passenger train,
But
well,
yeah,
it's
I
just
had a
not
lot of
possible
ideas
for an
bouncing
engine
around
with
my
that
head
speed
for
to
an
be on
original
time
story.
for
I
that
thought about
kind of
doing
work, let alone the
after
express.
based off of a video that Unlucky Tug made on Gordon, of how he's the most important character in the Railway series. I thought about making a movie off that, or maybe
Aren't you taking
I had
shopping
this
service
one
today,
idea
Alfred?
where
so.
Thomas
Sure,
and
the
a few
express is
other
far more grand, but it is
characters that
tiring
hadn't
to be
appeared
out
in
early
the
and
show
arrive
for
back in
literally
shed
years,
late.
like Stepney, Boko,
I
and
hope
stuff,
I'll be able to pull
would
at
go
least
on
goods train sooner
and
or
Sir Topham
later.
Hatt would go on a crusade.
Drivers won't choose you
I'm not
again.
sure if I mentioned
Quite
Sir Topham
right.
Hatt already,
They want
because I'm
big,
also very distracted by
strong
this
engines
too.
like us.
Oh yeah, this take here, where me and Railway were running, was in perfect
Speak of
sync.
the
I
devil,
was
here comes
really
one of the
happy with
crews
how it turned
now.
out. It
When
also took a
does your
long time
passenger
for
train
both of us to
depart?
get on cue with
Well,
our
it shouldn't be
with
too
our
long
walking.
now. First time we've
See
been
what
given
we
an option
have.
to choose an engine for today.
Let's see what
But-
we have.
Yeah,
I say.
I had a
Like
lot of
that.
ideas
Oh,
bouncing around my
well,
head.
like to
Yeah,
come out
like
today?
Thomas
Oh,
and a few
yes,
characters and
please.
Sir Topham Hatt would be going to the mainland on like some mission, but like that felt too fan servicey ish, if that makes sense, because it's Thomas, of course, but then all your main characters, and I don't know how I was gonna do it in Roblox, where it's rare enough that we get to Barrow and Furness in
Well,
any
look at me
Thomas
now.
Roblox games that are accurate to the maps, but yeah, and any other ideas I had were like kind of ripping off other people's ideas of pre-existing films, and I didn't want to do that. So I thought, after a while, you know, I think I'm gonna do what I still think today I do best, which is adaptations. Like, I can make pretty much anything into an adaptation. I sort of found that out after Rails of Ice, but yeah, I'm pretty glad I went with this. So I just to start out with, because this was my first attempt at a bigger production, I made 3 railway engines, and that's how this movie came about. I started writing in March, and yeah.
Please don't bump and bang us around like the other engines do.
Don't worry, I'll handle you like a proper engine.
I think that
Thank you,
there's
Edward.
definitely
That
an
was
overuse
kind.
of the row shade.
are
Back when
glad
that
you're
was
taking us
available,
out
the
today.
row shade blur here, it's very clearly doesn't work like an actual camera, except for a few focus things like that. I'm still really proud of the sound design. What I did for quite a few sound effects is I just looked up train sounds on YouTube, and there's a number of official licensed sound effects that were, I think, used in movies. I mean, I heard this rolling stock sound on a radio station of all things. So yeah, I just look at royalty-free sites just to see if they have any sounds if you're looking for realistic sounds, because I know, despite sound folders like mine and Bigger Dog's folder, it's realistic sounds are rather hard to come by, and of course the occasional really good sound
I for sure haven't
from
seen this one
GW
out in a while.
Shunters or anyone
Get in
else's
quickly,
folder, which
please.
consists of mainly sounds from
Oh, I am excited.
any part in the show.
I haven't had a passenger run in a long time.
When the guard blows his whistle, we can start. Now that you mention it,
I think this
where
station
is the guard?
scene.
I can't see
No,
him
it
at
might
the
have been like
station.
that insert shot of that passenger back there was
Hello.
after
You by chance happen to
most
see
of
the
this
guard anywhere?
movie
Well,
was
there
filmed.
he-
Oh, the morph.
I can't see him anywhere.
Have you
And
seen
one of
the
the
guard
things that kind of
anywhere, Lewis?
inspired me
Yes, I
for
did,
this
actually.
sequence
Last
especially
night.
was
Bruh.
this person. I can't
Are we
pronounce
ever
their
going
name
to start?
for the life of me. It's Gwarmoose or
Here
something.
he comes.
And they made this video called I'm not really sure. I don't. It's called Decayed Self-Esteem. I think it was unfortunately taken down though when their channel got hacked. And there's a scene where Henry's taking an excursion through the countryside, and it was very much inspired by this. I used the same edited music and everything. I think this is the Cuban Overture? Not exactly sure. Yeah, I think it is. The camera shake looks like it's something from CapCut. I think with a lot of the camera shakes here, I think some motion blur with like more prominent shaking, like this scene here. Wow. Probably should have added some motion blur to it, so it would look less choppy. Because at 24 frames a second, it doesn't look the best exactly. Speaking of motion blur, I was originally gonna with this. I haven't thought about that film in a long time. This Winter's Journey in Somewhere, Wales. Railway. I edited the entire thing, and then I sent it to Railway for motion blur, because he was gonna put in motion blur in CapCut, and that's what we originally aimed to do for this movie. But because I was kind of rushing, and I wanted to put as much time as I could into actually making this good, instead of having just a small little factor that wouldn't make too much of a difference. Because if you already see stuff like the person hanging down there at the spawn area, that's already gonna that's already not realistic as is. You can very much tell this is in Roblox or some small 3D
Completely and entirely
3D
wrong.
software
We were
or
early to
something I
every
can film
station,
in.
And I'm going out again tomorrow. What do you think of that?
A lot of music choices also came from Decayed Self-Esteem, which is which I'm very glad I searched for some of the music here, because I ended up using a lot of these pieces, a lot of different parts of these pieces in other films of mine. Look out for me this afternoon. That was a rough transition there, with the steam not being synchronized. Now, this next scene right here took 3 hours to film. Setting up took a little bit, but not that long. But it took so much energy, and it took even more energy to edit, and it took a very, very, very long time to film this. I spent a long time editing this, whether it be the sounds or the synchronization. For whatever reason, this took so long. But it's so satisfying with all the sounds. I'm still pretty happy with this. There's a few things I'd change, but I still am pretty proud of this. So what happened there was... Oh dear. Man, I almost wanted to have Edward kind of break reality here, as if this was like a bit of because the music is already kind of goofy. I mean, it goes so hard, but like it's because the Wallace and Gromit music just is so good. But I wanted to have it be a little bit goofy. With that points scene. And these were just a bunch of laughing memes I found. And this, right here, was actually filmed separately. See, where did the trucks go? Yeah, this was filmed a few days after, I think. think I originally had a steam sound, not a steam sound effect, a steam
I was helping out at the
overlay
harbor
effect
earlier
there. I
today.
think you can see it in the
should have
trailer.
seen Gordon's reaction to having to take that train.
If I've ever seen an engine complain so much.
There was originally you hear Alfred saying, "If I've ever complained so much" or whatever. There was actually supposed to be the characters were supposed to be laughing a lot more in that scene, but you know I didn't want to use a sound, and Roblox
Gordon
Morse
can't get up the
have
hill.
indeed
I need
come a
you to
long
take
way.
Edward and give
I
him
mean,
a push.
but
Alrighty.
this in this day and age, they're not really used anymore. But yeah, I was initially going to laugh myself, but I, for whatever reason, just cannot do a fake laugh.
Yes,
And
I
I didn't
think
want to
we
use a
found
sound
Gordon.
effect, so it was just, I made myself chuckle a little bit, and then I did the line.
You're not trying. I can't do it. Those noisy trucks hold an
Was
engine
that my
back
mouse over
so.
there?
Now, if they were coaches, clean, sensible
On the
things
right?
that
I don't
come
know.
quietly, that would be different.
No use at all.
We've come here to push.
It's no
I
use
start
at
too many
all.
lines
Oh,
with
really?
ha.
You
Like,
wait and
it's
see.
no
So,
use.
what's the plan?
Let's bring the train back down to the bottom
As
of
if
the
they're
hill,
laughing or
and when
running
the
out of
guard
breath
blows
or
his
something.
whistle, we'll give it a try with Edward pushing from behind.
I still do stuff like that today, like zooming in on a mishap in Roblox's physics, and I just add a sound, and that's something that people tend to enjoy.
ready.
Like
No good.
Lemmy commented on Rails of Ice, Master of the Lemons. He was the original. He was one of the two people that came up with the idea of the Gordon snow machine thingy, the whole ordeal there,
can't do it.
and
I'll do it.
he said he really liked that part where Donald's tender flexes on the turn when they're exiting the scrapyard. But yeah, that sequence where they were just going up the hill took a very long time to get right, because the consist was quite
do you know?
literally too
I've
heavy.
done
Like,
it.
we had to have Thomas help push in some scenes. Yeah, it was me, Thomas Adventures, and Donald and Douglas Fan 1002 helping me out with that. Now, in one of the trailers, I put this little sequence of Gordon looking shocked coming towards a truck. And so, yeah, and everybody was wondering what that was about. Like, everybody. I got a lot of comments and a lot of friends ask me, but yeah, that's what happened, and it led to one I'm told a lot of people tell me that it's their favorite joke in the movie. But yeah, that effect I did as it flew into the air, I would have totally done it differently with a camera shake. I would combine all of them into one clip with a compound clip and add a shake and some more stuff. And yeah, I really would have done that differently. Overall, though, I think the Steam effects are what's best, and even though they're not perfect, oh, here it is.
Sometimes have to. Wait, what is that?
It's a fender bender. I kind of wish I did a voice line for that, but yeah, I think even the Steam effects aren't the best at some parts, but I'm still pretty happy with it.
I'm very pleased.
My
with
voice
you,
was
Edward.
so
Tell you
different.
what, I'll get some paint out
I mean, I
tomorrow
did
and
did
give you a
record these
beautiful
lines
new
in
coat of blue with
2022,
red stripes.
so
Then you'll be the
which was
smartest
almost
engine in
it's
the
summer
town.
2024. I recorded these lines almost 2 years ago. Man. And even then, I thought my voice was at its most manliest level. Now, a lot of this was actually this was probably one of the last times Shade was ever available, and I'm very glad I downloaded it while I could, because the rain scenes genuinely look like it's bad weather. Like you I don't even if you changed if you I don't think editing could make CBR3 of all games look like this without like something modifying your Roblox
I
game.
do believe it's time for our stopping train, and I don't think we can do that if we're resting here and not ready there.
Alright, I'm up. Let's get to the station.
That rain came so
Looks like we'll be
fast.
getting some downpour.
Hopefully it's just a brief drizzle.
And now, I think the main thing that inspired this entire movie, that got me the idea of making Three Railway Engines as my first attempt at a movie, not just a short film, a movie, was there was this video that there was this competition back in the day. I think not a competition, but like people would send Richard Jordan audition videos. He was the original creator of Sodor of the Dark Times, Scarloey 123, and he wanted to remaster the movie, but he didn't have the time to, or like he didn't have the time to manage everything, just as he did back then. So he put out a video.
Say, where do
A
you off
video.
to?
He
just
put out
taking a
put out a
passenger
video
train along the main
opening
line.
auditions for directors, possible directors, and like overall like someone who had a vision similar to his, who could produce the movie.
I just hope
And
the rain won't
Carson,
last the whole journey.
It's just the rain.
Carson
It's not
Marenka
really a
put
big
out
deal. It doesn't stop us
a
engines.
video
True,
auditioning,
but
and it was
there
like a
could
small
be
introduction
possibility that
scene.
an engine's paint
And
might get spoiled.
even though it's
Oh,
like almost 5
I
years
must be
old, I
going now.
think
I'll
it
see you
stuck
around,
with
Will.
me for no
See you later.
reason. Like it left a big impact on me. The sound design was great. The eerie opening was amazing, and yeah, I watched that so many times for no reason. Like, I don't know. Even just that small scene was very formative to me wanting to make things. Now, Carson's videos today are definitely very influential of how I make my stuff, on top of a bunch of other creators, both on the internet and Hollywood filmmakers. But Carson, that little scene kind of made me want to do something similar like that with Three Railway Engines. And also, I'm really happy how these raining scenes turned out. It's just eerie. It's quiet. You get the sense that it's a rainy afternoon. I'm really happy with how it came out. Although the YouTube processing doesn't really like it that much, I'm still pretty happy with how this came out.
If it continues
Now,
like this,
I
my
put out a
green paint will
screenshot
be
that just showed
soaked.
Henry and just a gray sky, and that was actually something I filmed that was not edited, and it was in CBR3 with it, and the map wasn't edited in any way. I utilized a shot somewhere here. I think it was here,
Finally.
but like I backed the train up. That exact frame can't be seen
Henry,
in
why
the
are you slowing
final
down?
movie,
We
but
still need to get to the next station.
people were actually wondering, like, would Henry meet would Henry be unconscious after the flying kipper? Like, people had questions, and that obviously wasn't the case. If you haven't seen this movie, for those who haven't seen this movie, but I mean, if you haven't seen the movie, I don't know why you're watching the
Stop it,
commentary
boy.
first.
Can't you see
But
this isn't a station?
if you're this far in, you do whatever you
What's
want.
going on? What does
But
it look like?
yeah,
Now,
that
Henry,
was really
we should
interesting
keep
to
going.
me.
The passengers will get cross.
No, thank you.
And why ever not?
The heavy rain will spoil my lovely green paint and red stripes.
You know what to do, Howard.
You can just tell
Right
it's a looping. Paint and red stripes for you.
I'm not going to spoil my lovely green paint and red stripes for you. Now then, what, may I ask, is the meaning of this, Mr. Beasley?
Apparently, Henry doesn't want to come out of the tunnel due to the rain.
We've tried a few things to get him rolling
Due to
again.
the rain.
No luck.
Is that
I have such a
so?
hard time coming up with names.
I
Like,
think I have an idea.
the Lone
Mr.
Engine's
Howard,
name is just
would you
Will.
be so kind as to fetch a rope from the last coach?
I mean, and
Of
Will's
course
not a bad name by any means,
What do you
but like
have in
it's
mind, Topham?
it's
We
it's
shall
somewhat
pull you
common.
out, Henry. Oh my!
It's not even
goodness
Willie.
gracious.
It's not even William. It's just Will.
Henry, there will be some severe consequences
Henry.
when you finish taking this train. I've got a rope. Splendid.
I had
Thank
way
you,
too
Mr.
much
Howard.
like
Now, what I
like
need you to do is tie it to
in my
Henry's strap
Sotopian
coupling.
voice.
Now then, everybody else, I need each
Oh,
of
that's
you
a
to
rough
grab a
edit.
part of
I
the rope.
would have definitely. There's a
About
lot of
you,
things that I would have
Oh,
done differently. I
really?
did cut.
Well, my doctor has
I'll
written
admit,
to
I did
pull.
cut a little.
Without
I did cut
further
a few
ado,
corners here.
1, 2, 3, pull. Oh.
Now, Railway actually
let's
made some of
try
these
pushing
edits
from the
here,
other end and see how
and
that works.
they're pretty
You
good. They're
gonna,
pretty
you
clean,
know, help us?
but
Oh,
I
my
kind of wish
apologies.
that
My
I.
doctor has also
Again,
forbidden
you
me
can
to
tell that
push.
some parts were
1,
definitely
2,
rushed, or I just
3,
didn't want to
push.
bother.
Wait a minute. The rain's dying down.
Yeah,
Henry
no,
may come out
there's
now.
not gonna like 6 or 5 passengers are not gonna move that train.
Look, Henry, it stopped raining.
While that is true,
But yeah,
there
the
are
edits
still
were
gray clouds up ahead,
looked
meaning that
pretty
it
good,
will
especially
begin
that
again
first
soon.
one. That
And
above
what
shot
will
was
become of
really
my
good.
green paint with red
but-
stripes then?
Sir, we
Like I
could
kind of
give
wished
arrangements to
I
push him out if
either
it's
one got a
available.
bunch of friends
That's
in,
not a bad idea.
which that would be kind of
Alfred is coming
chaotic,
this way
or
with some
two,
spare construction supplies
uh,
from Crosby.
I
He shouldn't be too long now.
got a bunch of Roblox
Come on,
avatars
let's go
behind a
stop
green
them.
screen that I
Right
would
behind
edit in.
you.
Obviously, the latter would be trickier.
That sounds like a guard's whistle. It is. Up ahead. I think we better stop.
That dude is slowing down way
What's
too
going
fast.
on? I'm afraid Henry is refusing to come out of the tunnel due to the rain. I need you to push him out. Well then, I guess it's the only option.
Again, with some of the royalty-free sounds. Those are from Zapsplat, I think.
Now
And I'm really proud of the sound
Stay here,
design
Alfred.
in a lot of this
I'll go
movie. I'll
speak
talk
to
about it in
Henry.
a moment. Or 10, I don't know. But yeah, Alfred did not try at all. I mean, a little bit, but
that you want to stay
not
in the
too,
tunnel.
not that much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very well.
No. I also really like how
if I could please
how
have
the silhouettes
everyone's
look
undivided attention
in
for a
the-
moment,
with the whole-
that would be
with
greatly
Roshade and everything.
appreciated. We sincerely apologize for the inconvenience. Do not worry. We will ensure that all of you will get to the stations you please. We thank you for your patience. Howard, I need you to uncouple the coaches from Henry.
I
Jeremiah,
use the same
take
footstep
Alfred and
sound
leave the
effects
trucks of extra
constantly.
building supplies
Even
on the other
in
side of
films
the tunnel.
today, I need
Then
to
come back to collect
take the
coaches
time
bring
to
them
record the
rest of
sounds
stations.
myself
Will do.
or find different ones because they get really, really old, especially in scenes where it's mostly humans moving around and talking. Like, listen to that. And the slight camera shakes, too. I'm really happy how those came out. Synchronization is everything when it comes to sound design. Ooh, yeah. The shaky tender. This almost looks like an apocalypse. Because, like, it's just a barren plain with almost no sign of life. I got so nervous because I thought they were going to derail again. Because I think I had one take where the coaches would derail on the points here. This is at this time the game was about 4 years old, and now it's like 5, which is insane. I don't know what that audio snapping was. The camera shake on second thought is a little too much, given the distance between the quote-unquote camera and the train.
Both sides of that line. All right then, come on, men. You heard him. We got work to do.
All right.
Well then, Henry. You want you to
I'm really
stay in
happy
the
with
tunnel?
how I
Then you
mixed
shall
the
stay
sounds
here
to be in
for
rhythm
always
with
and
the original
always
theme, similar
until you are
to
needed.
similar to the episode as well. And I think you can hear it in the
One of the men is
raw
running up the line to the next station. An engine should
in the
be
raw
here soon enough.
footage, not footage, in the raw sound file of the
Speaking
music,
of which, I think it's about time
which was
for
by
us
SA
to
Music,
leave.
by the way, Cedric Afro. That wheel slip. And of course, like every other Thomas fan film, I used soundtrack from Tobias and the Half Pariah. This was the proposal, I think, when those Diesels are asking Gordon if he wants to join them, and he betrays Sodor for a while. Oh, wow.
I say, where's Henry? He's never usually out this late.
Perhaps he's held up at a faulty signal.
Well, I wish I could say that was the case, but I'm afraid it isn't.
How do you mean?
You remember it was raining this afternoon, correct?
I do.
From what I've heard,
Gossip!
Henry was refusing to come out of the tunnel because he believed the rain would spoil his paint. After I unsuccessfully tried to push him out, the fat director told me to leave my trucks on the other side of the tunnel and to take his coaches onward. Wait, he stopped whilst taking the stopping service? Afraid so. Disgraceful. Well, what happened then? I can't say I'm certain.
Disgusting.
I heard the
Despicable.
rumor going around amongst the workmen. The ones that Alfred was taking back to the yard were told to build a
Yes, that
low
line
wall
did
walking
take
heavy
me
roof path.
forever to
That's
do.
strange.
I-
I'll try
it-
and
it-
see for
I-
myself.
I can
But
do
for
a
now,
Scottish
we best
accent
be getting our
okay,
rest.
but like it is hard to get my tongue to roll at the right times.
Now, let's see if this little tale is true.
It's a breath of fresh air to see normal CBR3 back, other than the row shade blur. I'm really happy with how the fog and stuff turned out. Because to an extent, the blur does help, but like you can kind of tell it's very much a game blur, and it's less like a camera. But yeah, it's so refreshing to see these somewhat vibrant colors of the game back after that that rainy apocalyptic
Seems so.
To be
frontier
fair, though, he
that
did cause his
was
passengers to be
the sad
very
story of
late.
Henry.
I suppose you're right. Oh, that's my whistle. I must be off now.
Passengers got in that quickly. Now, these next few scenes, I almost canned these for a couple reasons. One,
This railway
with,
is becoming more financially
so
unstable as
I
we
was
speak.
gonna
We
film
can barely
this.
afford to sustain
I was
the upkeep
originally
of our
going to
engines and
film
rolling
this
stock.
with.
There's less passengers on our line. We've already
I
had
was
to let over
originally
half
gonna
of our
use this
workmen
engine
go.
called
If you don't
Daxton,
find
I
a way to
think.
get more
It's
money
this
soon,
like
we may have to pull the
tank
plug.
engine that
Any
spawned
ideas,
with
gents?
Arthur
Well,
and
since there are
Ryan
less passengers traveling by rail,
a
perhaps
little
we could
ways away
serve
from
some
the
of our
sheds
coaches in rolling
in the
stock,
game,
or maybe
but he
even his
kept
engine now that
derailing,
there's less
and
work.
the only
I'm not
other
sure.
alternative
I'll
that
try
was
and
an
see what I
engine
can
that
do when we're done
wasn't
here.
going to be on
But if that
Sodor,
were to
that was
succeed, we would have to
supposedly
make more
built
contracts for trains.
back then, was Neil.
They may also
And
end up selling engines for scrap.
I just filmed the
We have to
scene,
keep up a
but
hard
I
work
had
to deliver what we're
a
having.
really big
Just
internal debate whether I
Try
should keep
and
it or
make
not, because
sure
I don't know
we're
if
one of those engines.
people were gonna say, "Oh, he ripped off the Mr. Ryan's Henry movie," or. And I think at this time, Mr. Ryan, I'm sorry to bring up this whole debacle with Mr. Ryan, or Cosmic, but yeah, at this time, like, he gave an update to the movies, but there hasn't been anything since, and I don't know if he's in the community's good graces, if you will. But yeah, I was afraid I would either get comments saying, "Oh, he ripped off," or "Oh, he's associated with that guy. Let's cancel him," or whatever. And also this scene here. This was entirely coincidental.
Oh, well, I'm Henry.
And
Then there's your answer, you fool.
these switches are some of these switches between the two Henrys are still pretty clean. I really like how this turned out. But yeah, I thought I was gonna get called out for supposedly ripping off the Blue Snowplows film Railspin Split Space, which that one I'm not going to spoil, but if you've seen it, you'll know exactly what I mean. But yeah, I decided to put that warning in front, not in front, but like before the whole film began, just to say, yo, if there's anything similar to other fan films, that was entirely coincidence or due to the game's limitations, because it hasn't been updated in a long time, and I guess I was limited to how many engines I could get, or like what engines I could get more so. But yeah, and I didn't get called out for it, so I've kind of learned not to like be afraid of straying too far away from what other people have done. But like if it's just a carbon copy, then you know that I'm gonna get some hate for it. But yeah, I'm really glad I kept this scene in, because this turned out to be a lot of people's favorite, because I wanted to have something kind of like a reconciliation, I guess. Well, not that, but like a confrontation between, and kind of like do a bit of a play on for the infamous two Henrys theory.
Just like that. If he did,
man, I am such a nerd, but like if you're not too educated with like a lot of Thomas theories and other stories that have been going around that a lot of people on the internet talk about, a lot of what I say is going to be very vague, but
refuse to leave the tunnel? There were passengers in your train.
the change,
and
the music just stopped and everything,
and the
man.
fat director of all people was on board.
But yeah, this was, I was gonna have the stories, like the 4 stories, but I wanted to have like a bit of
you would have been hauled away to be scrapped a long time ago. So why
a beat in between some of the stories. I hate that audio. I hated how that turned out. The audio was peaked, and the reverb just came out of nowhere. But, yeah. So some of the audio here is a bit rough, and just the peaceful countryside again. And I also really wanted to use this piece that Narrow Gauge used from his audio story Great Waterton. And this is one of those things I had in mind, too, one of those things I had in mind since the very beginning of production. Yeah, and I'm glad I kept that scene in, so, like, just to subvert people a little bit, because everybody knows these stories. It was the first books and everything. I actually, a big thank you to Scrapyard Studios for allowing me to use his cover of the Fireman Sam, the old Fireman Sam theme song. Running right on time. Big blue golden and thunders down the line. Big blue golden never fails to impress. He did an excellent job singing this. This wasn't original, by the way. He already had this video, this as a video long before my movie here.
I think Gordon's coming. Gordon, we should slow down.
The metal pipe.
What is happening
Now,
to
a
me?
really good
You
trick
burst
that
your
that I
safety
still
valve.
apply
You can't
today
pull the
at
train
some
any
parts,
further.
depending on what
Oh,
frame rate I'm
dear.
editing at,
We were going
is
so nicely too.
a lot of people ask me, how do you get the engines to move so
Things are
slowly?
always going wrong with these engines.
And what I did
Send
was
for
I
another one at
record
once.
everything at 60 frames per second, but I edited this at 24 frames per second. So if an engine's stopping or slowing down, I could just slow down the clip and it won't look too laggy. There will be the occasional missing frame, but still, I'm really happy with how it turned out. And a lot of people were asking me about this, which I think it's still one of the most clever things I've come up with in terms of tricks for
Would you be up to do so?
trying to
I'll give it a try.
achieve realism.
That's no use. Edward can't pull the train.
And that's also sort of the case with the wheel slip too, because when Edward's wheels slip in this game, it goes at a crazy speed. But it actually looks okay here.
Told you.
And yeah.
Look at who's talking.
Why not let Henry try?
Yes, I will.
I think one thing I definitely would change is, while I do
Henry,
think
would you like
I
to
added
come
too
out to
many
the tunnel
goofy
and
sound
help pull
effects,
this train?
Yes, please, sir.
Now
I
then, Gordon's crew will start you up.
I'm still really happy with a lot of the sound design, like the squeaking here, for example, and a lot of the rolling stock. There's definitely some scenes do feel a bit empty, but I'm still really happy with how the sound design especially came out. In fact, I had a whole nother draft
ready
of
when you
each
are.
part of this
Come
movie,
on, let's get going.
because this was made in 2 parts. This movie was made in 2 parts, and I had a separate timeline for each one just for the sound design. And also, if you couldn't tell, yes, this was very much a lot of this movie was very much inspired by the Henry movie. Especially this montage and everything. But yeah, I guess now I'll mention too, because I'm mainly trying to get as many facts said as I can in this video, is that how I made this movie, once I filmed it, how I edited it, was I edited the first part. That reverb is not the right one I would use today. But yeah, what I did was for Edward's Day Out and Edward and Gordon, I edited those in their own timeline. And then of course a second one for all the sound effects, then I exported it. Then for part 2, which was this, which was the whole Henry stuff, and the quote-unquote nightmare sequence as well. And oh yeah, I'm really happy with how this montage came out. The pixelation is I could have had the camera a lot closer, but I'm really happy with how this came out too. And then the second part had the same stuff with its own timeline and sound effects. And then I just made a new one, added some final touches. Man. And yeah, I added some last things. And yeah, I was surprised to see that the rendering only took 10 minutes for a 52-minute thing. And I eventually learned from another editing geek like myself that I became acquainted with later in that summer, that it's actually because it didn't need a bunch of complex effects to compress into one file, like for the 2 parts here.
Thank you for helping to pull the train, you two.
No problem.
After this, let's go get Gordon.
Again, Upside Now's music here was just excellent. Like it really is something good to listen to or use in a video, whatever you want.
Thank you for taking the express, and for helping me get back to the sheds. You know, we need a few favors ourselves, so I guess we'll be even soon. Alright.
Now, this shot lasted like 2 minutes, because I wanted to get it to where I made sure I knew for a fact that they were out of screen. I knew I wasn't going to use everything, but I did it. Just in case, you never know. But yeah, this edit that I think Railway made too, I think it's kind of rough. Even back then I was a little underwhelmed, and I think he'll agree to that it's pretty rushed, and like, cause I don't know if he's put out too many of his like visual edits these days. But yeah, compared to like big epic stuff like the thumbnail, he has certainly improved. From what he's shown us, and me and my friends, he's certainly improved on his edits. And yep, I always wanted to use this cover of the Coronation Scott theme, and I wanted to match it with the side rods, and then have it slowly fade out to the yard here, with the credits slowly going up, and that is the movie. Dude, I think it's crazy how long ago this was. It was a year ago, but it felt like it's just a couple months ago that I put this out. I'm kind of running out of time here, so I'm just trying to say as much as I can. And I still get a sense of achievement for I would say for whatever reason, but it's for this reason alone. Whenever I listen to this song on loop, I just get a huge feeling of achievement, because this was the credits theme for my first attempt at a feature film. And of course, I know I'm mostly a one-man show, and I did all the voice lines and everything, but I am very thankful that there's people like I had people who could help me, like Railway, Donald, and Thomas Adventures, who could help me out with filming or being a cameo. And I think Engines of Roblox was a cameo as well. And yeah, this is all the music, which I did very extensive double checking just to make sure I got everybody. Original Thomas music by Mike O'Donnell and Junior Campbell. Yeah, and of course all the sound sources. But yeah, this movie was I had some struggles with it, but I for the most part had fun making it. I'm very glad I did make it, even though it didn't do extremely well. I mean, I got some really good comments, and it hasn't been marked for kids, which is just a blessing. But I'm pretty proud of this. There's some stuff I would change, definitely, but I'm still really happy with how this turned out, and it could have been worse. But yeah, I'm really glad that this all came together to one big, not super big, but big thing that people could enjoy. And yeah, I don't know what else to say that I haven't said before, because I've responded to comments with this. But yeah, thank you to all my viewers for making stuff. You make stuff like this possible, either motivation or otherwise, which is like view count or helping me out. And yeah, and actually this last scene here was, I don't think anybody got the reference. Like, I actually think nobody got the reference, which kind of disappoints me. This is a reference to that end credit scene from Ferris Bueller's Day Out, and I kind of got inspired to do this after Deadpool did a reference to this as well. So yeah. And that's the movie.